Hello, I am Michelle Barr, and I wanted to drop in and talk to you a little bit today. I was on Facebook, as I always am, and I stirred some things up, and I really want to speak to it because I think it's so important. I'm watching to see who shows up, so great. If you come on here live with me or if you come on during the replay, welcome. I'm really excited to talk about this. I wrote a blog post a long time ago about confusion and how if you are in confusion, it is serving you in some way. We all have these toxic patterns, these toxic ways that we fall back into. And so I was talking about that again recently on Facebook, and I got a real mix of people and some people that were stirred up, and I totally understood what they said and I spoke to it, and I want to speak to you about this. Any of you who've been around me for any amount of time, hi Rhonda, it's great to see you. If you've coached with me or taken a class or just been in my world, I am not one of those coaches that really gets in your face and calls you out. I have a more gentle nudge, but I do call things out, and confusion is one of them, because I talk to clients who don't move because of confusion, and I talk to potential clients, and I have some people that will get on a strategy call with me, a discovery call with me. Hi, Veronica. It's great to see you. I have people that will get on a call with me and stay in that confusion, and a year later, they ask for another discovery call. And I've had people do that for multiple years. So I want to talk to you about confusion, and I want to tell you what happened. It was a great dialogue that opened up. My stance is, and this is from my personal experience and everyone that I've worked with in every capacity, if you stay in confusion, it is serving you in some way. And if you can own that, I do what we call taking honest inventory in my tribe. And you've got to get real about some of these things, to where if you said, I want to stay in this confusion, I like it here right now, because this is what's being said inside. You're not conscious of it. The more you can bring the unconscious conscious, the better off you'll be. It's like this. Your unconscious is driving your bus. And it's going to create all kind of havoc if it's operating separately from your conscience. That's why I do so much mindset work. That's why I take honest inventory. That's why I get into personal and spiritual growth and development work, and more once I started building a business than ever before. It's that important. This is driving your bus, your unconscious, until you bring it conscious. So you might as well just listen to that voice. It's probably a very old voice from a very young age. I'm choosing to stay in confusion because I'm afraid that if I make a decision, it'll be the wrong decision. I'm afraid of the backlash. I'm afraid of the criticism. I never do anything right. I've made too many bad choices and hurt too many people. Whatever it is, journal about it, talk about it, work with a healer, work with a spiritual advisor, whatever you need to do. And I had somebody really stirred up about this, and I understand, because they had been very traumatized. Now, I want you to know my background is I was a mental health therapist for years. I ran domestic violence shelters. I did crisis and trauma response. I was on the critical incidents team for my community. I did emergency room response. And I had a full private practice through the local crisis centers of people who had childhood abuse, physical, mental, emotional, and sexual. I also worked with spiritual abuse. So I understand. And she got on there and she said, wait a minute. Some people, hi Tiffany, she said, wait a minute, some people are in confusion because when they were children, they were spun around by evil people in confusion. And I got what she was saying, and she didn't like that I was seeming to be more flippant about it, which I wasn't, and saying confusion is your choice and it's keeping you stuck. And I told her, absolutely, I used to work with those people. And that is trauma. that is something that takes a deeper level of work. Luckily, when I have clients come to me, I will work with them on a lot of their really deep inner work. It's part of my gift. It's what I do. But I also notice when people really have mental health things or they're being triggered and re-traumatized, and that takes a different level of work. So when I'm speaking about this issue with confusion, I'm speaking to the clients I mostly serve now. Clients who are looking to build businesses. They're getting on the phone with me, they're messaging me, they're emailing me, they're telling me, I want to get unstuck, I want to build a business, I want to do this thing. And that's when I want you to get real about confusion. Someone else got on that thread and said, sometimes confusion serves you. Sometimes you've got to sit in that confusion to heal. Well, we all make our own story, and I believe that whatever you say is. So again, own it. I'm choosing to stay in this confusion. Where people make a mess in their lives when they come talk to me is they're saying one thing, they're expressing this really high desire for what they want, and at the same time, they're staying in confusion, but they're acting like they're not choosing to stay in that place. I believe there is always a way forward from wherever you now stand. So just to give you some examples, today I had a client. It was our first session together. She was staying in confusion. And in an hour, we mapped out a way out of that confusion. We had to go around the block. We had to look in here and look in there. We had to set some priorities. We had to get clear, but there was a way out. Then she had a choice to spend another day, another week, another month in that confusion or step out. You don't have to see the whole road. Often that's too overwhelming. But we created some very clear next steps. Taking a next step, an action of any kind, moves the energy and it changes your energetic stance. So it will change and things will open up. Then it's up to you to see the opportunities, one, and two, to step into them. So you have those opportunities to move that energy. Now, I said if you take any action, it will shift the energy and it will shift your energetic stance, and things and people will have to change. If you want the best results, take aligned action. Recognize you're never neutral. When you choose not to decide, you've made a decision. You are always moving either toward or away from what you want. So tell me what you say you want most, and then everything you do from the most micro to the most macro, even your thoughts and feelings that lead to actions, what comes out of your mouth, where you put your money, what you give your attention to, what you choose to do or not do. Everything in every moment is moving you either toward or away from what you want. It's an energetic principle. It's universal law. And then it translates into our physical 3D world. A decision has not been made until an action has been taken. So sitting in this confusion, some people get in confusion, they stay there a while. Other people stay a very long time. I have a story. Before I started this business, I was in a really dark place, and I wouldn't have told you then, and I would have gotten really mad if you would have told me. I chose to spend a year in my pajamas on the couch, eating ice cream and watching Lifetime movies. Really, then I got up and around to take care of my kids, to interact with my husband, to take care of my pets in my house. It was a bad place. I now know I was choosing to stay in there. It was serving me in some way. And when I got into action, everything changed. Everything opened up. But I was telling myself these stories. So we start saying, I'm confused. Again, if I let that deeper part of me speak, It wasn't confusion. There were things in there I didn't want to face. I couldn't face. My mind would get too caught up. I'd gone through a lot of change, a lot of transition. I'd made a huge move. It had taken a toll. My husband was having a tough time. Our whole family was, and I'd created these stories. And when we create stories, we can go right into confusion. So part of the story I'd created was, this move wasn't a good idea. How could I have miscalculated it so much? We thought everything was leading us to this. We thought Spirit was delivering everything, and now I can't see. And I had to stay in confusion because I could not reconcile that Spirit would do something to me, that my intuition, which is always on, was not working, that I had created this situation and my family was now having to live it. You see all the things that would have gotten stirred up. It took me longer than I like before I started getting healing and clearing and resolution and started pulling myself out of it. In 1 hour with that client today, if she steps forward, she'll be out of that confusion. Then, for those of you that it's an energetic habit and a comfortable place, we go back off into what's comfortable and familiar, even if it doesn't serve us, even if it's not best for us. And I went back to a place that year that was very old. Again, I couldn't see it in the moment. It was a place I went at a very rough time when I was very young. So it was like, oh, this is familiar. I know I can survive this. So as long as I stay here, I don't know if I can survive those other things. You see what our mind does? I recreated something that I knew I had lived through. So I was willing to live there again because I knew I had survived it. It's craziness. Now I recognize those things. I've never gotten stuck there like that again. And when I get in confusion, I start working my way out, or I go and get the help I need. So I talked to a potential client, same thing, stuck in confusion, don't know which way to move. Sometimes you need help to get yourself out of that. So what I was saying to these people that were saying, well, confusion and you're being too hard on people, or there are sometimes when it's not people's fault and they're traumatized, all these things that I've been telling you. Thank you for those of you who are just joining me. You can go back when I'm done and listen to the replay and hear all about what I've been talking about, these examples about confusion, because then I'm also telling you how to pull yourself out of that. Hello, Namisha. It's great to see you. Thank you for coming. So the thing about confusion then, why I believe there's always a way forward from wherever you now stand. So let's take the most dramatic example. Someone had been traumatized severely as a child, abused, evil people, what she was telling me, evil people spun her around and kept her in confusion, and it has created situation. Well, that calls for some serious healing and some serious work. There are people who can do that. I've done that work with people. I still do that work with my clients sometimes when that's what they bring to the table. Often, you wouldn't believe how often people come to me for one thing, and then they take a deep dive into their stuff. They come to build a business, or they come for something they want to create or something they want better. And we go into those deep places and they come out the other side better equipped. So in that case, somebody needs some serious healing. I used to have a healing practice. I did healing work on people for very painful stuff. Before that, I was a mental health therapist, and I worked with all adults who were childhood victims of abuse, trauma. I ran crisis hotline. I told you about the shelters and all of that. Hello, thank you. So that's an extreme example, but there's still help. And some people stay paralyzed and stuck there, and other people get help. Now, that person doesn't need a hardcore coach getting in there and saying, cowboy up, buckle up, get yourself out there. Cowboy up is something we say in Texas a lot. Get yourself out there, pull yourself up. Yet those people have had that sometimes. For some it works, for some it doesn't. They might need somebody to sit in that space with them and listen and witness it. They may need medication help. They may need therapeutic help. They may need all kinds of things, but there is help. Now, for the people I'm talking to every day, when they come to me and they're in confusion, there's always a way out. And here are the main things I see. Either people are confused because they're getting stuck in their stuff and they have something deep, some inner work to do. Well, then they need a healing session, or they need to go in and explore that. If you go to my website at michellebarr.com or ilivemysoulpurpose.com, you'll see two buttons. One is about connecting with your soul purpose. The other one is building your soul business. If it's the personal work you need first, you click on that button and I have a way to work with you in that deep inner work. The other is you go in and you come in and we work on your business, and we also get into your stuff. So sometimes people need to clear, heal, and resolve. What I love about the work I do, because each one of you brings a unique combination that creates a unique contribution, and that's what I pull from you and help you take out into the marketplace. Mine is that I've done these different levels of work, so I'm able to work with you at all these levels. I'm intuitive, I'm an energy healer, I'm a strategist, and I'm a healer and a former therapist. I can help in a variety of ways. When you come in confusion, either you have something big and you need to take a dive into it and clear, heal, and resolve it, or you don't have information you need. So you either want to figure out how to clear, heal, and resolve that piece and then reassess where you are and move forward, or you need to get the information. Sometimes it's a workshop, a course, a book, an ebook, a PDF, a call with somebody. Sometimes people will book an hour call with me because I can do so much in an hour to give you what you need to move forward. Sometimes people come full in and they're running full speed ahead with strategies, and then they take a deep dive into their stuff. Other people come in ready to do the work, build the thing, and they take that deep dive. It's both. It's why I always say I work with you on the marketing to make it work and the mindset to make it happen. I help you with all of that. It's so important, and it's part of the journey. And especially for us, because if you're a spiritual entrepreneur, if you're called to be a spiritual teacher, a spiritual leader, if this is your soul purpose and your life's calling that you're responding to, it's your personal journey too. I always am working on my stuff. And every time I grow and evolve, I turn around and take that to my clients. But I'm always having to work on it. Every time I've up-leveled, those of you who've been with me for a few years, I have had a rockin' couple of years. I have jumped huge in income, huge in my business, huge in investing, huge in traveling, made a huge lifestyle move, lots of things going on. I've needed that help and support, and I get it in multiple places. So I'm challenging you. Whether your confusion is a very serious issue that is a childhood pattern, it could be your core issue. I have a report for you that's free if you go to ilivemysoulpurpose.com that shows you how to identify which core issue is driving your bus and what to do about it, and then how to find your biggest fear. And when you can work with your biggest fear and your core issue, you can transform. So go get that and go through it, and then book a call with me and we'll get on there and we'll work on it. Come find me on Facebook and we can talk about it. So finding a way out of that confusion, whether it's someplace you've just landed and it's kind of comfortable here and I'll just sit here. I can just keep saying that I am confused and I can stay here. But own it. Go to that next level. Even if you choose, I still have pity parties sometimes. I still put on my pajamas, turn on a Lifetime movie, and eat a bowl of ice cream and give myself a little pity party or some time off. But I don't stay there, and I know I'm doing it. This is comfortable, it's familiar. If I stay here too long, it's not good for me, but it's self-soothing. I now also have self-soothing behaviors that are much more positive and that lead to more good. But it's just that taking honest inventory and getting really honest with yourself. honest about that confusion. And that's what I wanted to really talk about with this confusion, because I still take that stand. I still welcome all dialogue, anybody who has different points of view and opinions. I love hearing it. It helps me then respond to all kinds of people that are in my world. And when I stir people up, that's okay, because they're going to find their place. They may have gotten stirred up and triggered because they are called to work with those people who are in confusion because of that deep traumatic abuse, because of their own powerful story. They may be called to protect those people, so they kind of went up against me, and that's how they discovered their soul purpose. So pay attention to what triggers you. It's a really good point, because some people saw that and were like, yeah, I agree. Other people were neutral, like, yeah, whatever. But then that person rose up and was triggered and felt compelled to say something about it. That shows you wherever you're triggered. So 2 things about energy. Energy is neutral except for the meaning we give it and how we use it. So if you're charged positively, it's because something in that is a match to something in you that wants to come forward. If you're positively charged by me, by my Facebook Lives, by my inspiration and motivation posts, or if you see me speaking live or any interaction with me, it's because I have something in me and I'm doing something in the world that is inside of you that you can bring forward. And if you're triggered by me, it's not about me. So I never get upset. I don't hold it against you. As long as people are respectful, I let all dialogue on my Facebook page, on my threads, in the world. I love talking to people of differing opinions, and that's how I continue to hone my message and how I help people and to understand what other people are thinking and feeling and going through. But being aware, pay attention where you're not neutral, where you're triggered. I'm not going to get into a lot about the election. I stay away from that. I have clients, colleagues, and friends on both sides, on every side. But if you notice, there's one thing when you take a stand and you say, I am against what that person is trying to do in the world, or I am for what that person is trying to do in the world. But we've seen a lot of people triggered. When you start getting triggered, that's when it's about you. It's not about that person. And there is meat for transformation there. It's the same in thinking about these things, like talking about confusion. So I brought you a couple things I really want you to dive into and think about. And the other one is a choice point in every moment. You are always moving either toward or away from what you say you want most. And if you're going to hold high desire for something and you're not moving toward it and not taking aligned action, then you need to be real with yourself, or that's when you create a big mess. And I'll talk more about that when that's a whole nother Facebook Live. I'll make a note to myself to talk about that one. But this is what I really wanted to bring you today. And I'm just checking my notes. I wrote down a few things to make sure. So yes, that if you're ready to get out of that confusion, with the right person helping you or doing it yourself, either way you choose, you can get out of that confusion. There's always a way forward from wherever you now stand. Me working today with that client, and it was all over the place. I wrote 2 pages before I was able to see the path and ask enough questions and read into the energy and feel the energy to come up with what could move her out of that to those next steps. And then I offer them, and then it's up to her to take them, and things are going to change. Just getting into the energy, we moved a lot of energy. So if you're in confusion, if you're looking at confusion, if you're thinking about it, if it's a go-to pattern for you, or if you're having trauma around it, seek what is next for you. Don't stay in that confusion. It's not a judgment. It's not a criticism. If you are stuck in confusion for any period of time, it is serving you in some way. And so if you were really traumatized, how it's serving you is it is your very survival. You learned how to survive. So nothing wrong with that. But you can get out of survival into thriving. There's always a way out of it. And if you're staying in it, it's serving you in some way, but it's keeping you from your good and from your great. So go to ilivemysoulpurpose.com if you're interested in digging deeper into that inner work. Go to michellebar.com and hit one of those two buttons for the inner work, or for working on your business with the inner work comes in that too. Facebook message me, email me. Let's connect. If you think that I can help you, I would love to. Thank you so much for being here. Go back and listen, and I will talk to you later. Bye.